The Switch has some absolute bangers when it comes to turn-based RPGs, and today we're counting down the top 10 you need to play. Whether you're new to the genre or a longtime fan, this list has something for everyone. Let's get into it. Tactics Ogre is one of those games that's been around since the 90s, and the Switch version brings it back with a fresh coat of paint. You're dropped into a war-torn kingdom full of political tension, betrayal, and impossible choices. And the story doesn't sugarcoat anything. The combat plays out on grid-based battlefields where you position your units, manage classes, and think several moves ahead. Every character can be trained into different roles, and building your squad the way you want feels genuinely satisfying. The decisions you make in the story actually change where the game goes, which gives it serious replay value. It's a slower, more methodical RPG, not something you breeze through, but if you like strategy with real weight behind it, Tactics Ogre delivers hard. A classic that absolutely holds up. Lunar Remastered Collection. Okay, so Lunar is a bit of a different vibe from everything else on this list. It's a classic JRPG originally from the 90s, and this collection brings both Lunar, Silver Star Story, and Lunar 2, Eternal Blue, to modern platforms with updated visuals and quality-of-life fixes. The combat is your classic turn-based setup, pick your actions, watch the fight play out, level up your party. Simple, clean, no overthinking it. But the real pull here is the story and the characters. These games have a warmth and charm to them that's hard to find. The cast genuinely feels like friends going on an adventure together, and the writing has personality. It's not trying to be dark or complex, it's just a really good time. If you want a cozy, story-driven RPG that doesn't stress you out, Lunar hits that spot perfectly. Triangle strategy is the kind of game that makes you feel like every decision carries real consequences. You play as a young nobleman caught between three powerful nations all on the edge of war, and the game constantly forces you to pick sides on some genuinely tough moral questions. The combat takes place on a grid, where height, positioning, and unit synergy matter a lot. You can't just mash through encounters, you actually have to think about how your team is set up. Between battles, you explore a hub area, dig into the lore, and talk to characters that flesh out the world. The art style is gorgeous. That HD 2D look with 3D environments and pixel characters is stunning. The story is serious and politically layered, which might not be for everyone, but if you're into that kind of slow burn narrative with real stakes, Triangle Strategy is a standout experience on the Switch.
Too slow.
For a better world.
Pokemon Legends Arceus. This one's a bit different from your typical Pokemon game, and honestly, that's exactly why it works. Instead of gym battles and linear routes, you're thrown into a historical version of the Pokemon world, where you're basically a researcher trying to complete the first ever Pokédex. The catching mechanic is totally reworked. You sneak up on Pokemon in the wild, use items to stun them, and throw balls in real time. Battles still use the turn-based format, but with a new twist, where move speed matters and you can choose between strong or agile styles to shift turn order. It's more flexible and tactical than older games. The open areas feel alive, Pokemon roam freely, and there's a genuine sense of exploration and discovery. It strips away a lot of the usual Pokemon formula and replaces it with something more immersive. A refreshing entry in the series that fans and newcomers both enjoy. Fire Emblem Three Houses is one of the most complete RPG experiences on the Switch. You play as a professor at a military academy, and you pick one of three student houses to lead, and that choice shapes your entire playthrough. The social side is huge. You build relationships with your students, share meals, go fishing, teach classes, and watch characters grow in ways that actually affect the battlefield. Combat is grid-based and strategic, with permadeath on classic mode adding real tension to every fight. The story shifts dramatically depending on which house you pick, which makes replaying it feel worthwhile. There's a lot to manage between battles, scheduling lessons, handling monastery activities, and developing your units. But it never feels like homework. It feels like you're genuinely invested in these characters. Three Houses is rich, emotional, and surprisingly deep. Easily one of the best games on the system. Dragon Quest III is a legendary RPG, And this remake makes it feel completely fresh without losing what made the original special. You're on a quest to follow in your parents' footsteps and take down a great evil, classic setup, but the game builds on it with a lot of heart. You assemble a party from scratch at a tavern, choosing their classes and personalities, and can reclass them as the game progresses. The combat is traditional turn-based. Pick commands for each party member, execute, repeat, but it's satisfying and well-paced. The HD 2D art style makes every town and dungeon look incredible. The world is big, the exploration feels rewarding, and there's always something new around the corner. It respects your time while still giving you a meaty adventure. For anyone who loves classic RPGs or wants to understand why Dragon Quest has such a passionate fanbase, this remake is the perfect entry point. Octopath Traveler 2 takes everything the first game did and sharpens it into something much more satisfying. You've got 8 playable characters, each with their own full story, their own hometown, and their own reasons for hitting the road. The stories do intersect more in this one, which fixes a big complaint from the original. Combat uses the boost and break system. You figure out enemy weaknesses, hit them to break their guard, then unleash boosted attacks for big damage. It's genuinely fun and strategic without being overwhelming. Each character also has unique field skills that let you interact with the world differently. One can challenge NPCs to duels, another can sneak around and steal. The HD 2D visuals are gorgeous, the soundtrack is incredible, and the writing quality varies by character but peaks really high. If you want a long, content-packed RPG with a unique structure and excellent combat, Octopath 2 is a must-play.
It's my turn. I'll cut you down.
Trails in the Sky is a slow burn, and that's not a bad thing. You play as Estelle Bright, a junior bracer, basically a licensed adventurer, who sets out with her adoptive brother to earn their full bracer licenses. It starts small and grounded, focusing on everyday people and regional problems before building into something much bigger. The combat is turn-based on a grid, using action points and positioning to pull off skills and arts. It's not flashy, but it's tight and satisfying once it clicks. The real reason people love this game, though, is the world building. Every NPC has dialogue that updates as the story progresses. Towns feel lived in. The writing is warm and genuinely funny at times. It's the kind of RPG where you stop and read everything because the world is just interesting. It asks for patience, but rewards you with one of the most well-constructed RPG worlds ever built. A proper gem. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake. 2 legendary RPGs in one package, both rebuilt with that stunning HD 2D visual style. Dragon Quest 1 is the grandfather of the entire JRPG genre, a simple but charming adventure where you play as a lone hero taking on the Dragon Lord. It's short by modern standards, but it's a piece of history that plays surprisingly well today. Dragon Quest 2 expands everything, a bigger world, a party of 3, and more complex dungeons to navigate. Both games use classic turn-based combat. Choose commands, watch the fight, level up. The remake adds modern quality-of-life features that make both games feel smooth and accessible. The art direction is breathtaking. Pixel characters wandering through beautifully rendered environments with dynamic lighting. For JRPG fans, this is essential history. For newcomers, it's a clean, affordable entry into a series that helped define the genre. Absolutely worth every minute. Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, brings one of the greatest tactical RPGs ever made to Switch, and it still hits hard decades later. You follow Ramza Buell through a brutal, politically charged war where nothing is black and white, and the people celebrated as heroes are often the worst in the room. The story is mature, dark, and genuinely shocking at moments. Combat takes place on 3 de-isometric battlefields, where class, positioning, height, and unit builds all matter enormously. The job system is deep. Characters can master abilities across multiple classes and combine them in creative ways. Battles are tough but fair, and winning a hard fight feels incredible. The Ivalice Chronicles package also includes Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, giving you even more content. This is a masterclass in turn-based strategy and storytelling, the crown of the Switch RPG library. That's the top 10. Whether you start with the classics or dive into something new, any game on this list is worth your time. Drop your favorite in the comments and subscribe if you want more RPG content. See you next time.